So now we're going to talk about the verb to be. So the verb to be is an irregular verb, but it's a very common one, so you should definitely familiarize yourself with all its forms. So first we're going to talk about the present tense of the verb to be. So, I mean, there's no point in me explaining what the verb to be is. I'm sure you're aware. Just I am, you are, he, she is, we are, you are, they are. And there's really no pattern. You just basically have to learn all the forms. It's highly irregular, but they will become familiar, as I just said. So let's drop a little table. Singular, plural. Okay, so goes Amy, A, st, with the movable new. Esmen, este, ac. So it's highly irregular. I mean, I can't say there are many parallels with just the regular present tense. Obviously notice the movable news. But, I mean, there are a few similarities, so this men should be fairly familiar. The te here, possibly the a. I mean, although that a is used on the third person singular rather than the second person singular, but, you know, there are a few parallels. But yes, ultimately you do just have to learn this. Okay, so just basically take a bit of time to learn that, while I now get started on the imperfect. So the imperfect goes like so. Esta, en, emen, ete, esan. So again, that's highly irregular, but there is some pattern here. So you have the eta just on the front of each, the air. And then you also do have the men and the te. So do make a note of that, the men and the te. And no movable new. No movable new here. So, of course, Amy is going to mean I am, while en is going to mean I was. A is going to mean you are. Esta is going to mean you were. That's singular. So you singular are, you singular were. St is going to mean he, she, it is. En is going to mean he, she, it was. Esmen is going to mean we are. Emen is going to mean we were. Esther is going to mean you plural are. Et is going to mean you plural were. AC is going to mean they are. Esan is going to mean they were. I guess there's one thing to mention about the verb to be, and that is the idea of a complement. So you may not have heard of this. Don't worry if you haven't. We've obviously mentioned what an object is, like the object of a sentence is the thing that has the verb done to it, the action done to it. So the boy kicked the ball is the object because it's being kicked, it's having the action done to it. But a complement is deceiving. A complement will behave almost like an object or seem to be an object, but actually it's not an object. The complement will not go into an accusative like the object of a sentence does. Instead, Greek puts the complement into the nominative. So before we go into more the technicalities of it, a complement is basically when I say, like, I am something. So the slave is a man. Basically when you use the verb to be. Most of the times you use the verb to be when you say something is another thing. That will go into the complement. So The slave is a man. See, a man, this, it appears like that should go into the accusative because it's like an object, but actually it's not. Because all you're doing is you're saying one thing is something else, but that's actually not the same. So that will go into that will be a complement, and therefore it will go into the nominative. Yeah. So in Greek, in Greek, that will be hodoulos, estin. I'll just go on to the second line here with the movable new, anthropos. Okay, so as you can see, they both have the same ending, os, because they're both masculine, singular, and nominative. But, by the way, hodoulos here, the slave, is still going to be the subject. It's just that anthropos is going to be the complement. It's not, anthropos is not a subject, but it's a complement.